Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, he has already attained the ultimate success. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the best of speech, the best of words are the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best of guidance is the guidance of His Messenger, Mohamed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of matters are newly innovated matters in this religion. Because whatever is innovated in this religion, what was not revealed by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, would lead you astray. And whatever would lead you astray would lead you to the hellfire. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, at the time of Mecca, when he was with his companions, when they were being oppressed and being tortured, physically and psychologically, when they were being tormented for just believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at a time where logical debate was not the common thing, but rather it was illogical, irrational actions and behaviors from a group of people who had power to others who lacked. Quite often the Prophet ﷺ in those situations, and even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reveal certain verses in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ would tell them some stories of previous people before them. Now I want to share with you one of these stories today. Now we have heard of this, but I'm going to tell you the complete story, inshallah, and this is narrated by Imam Muslim, rahimahullah, that the companion, Suhaib ibn Sinan, radiallahu anhu, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, كَانَ فِي مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ, from among those who were before you, there was a king who had a wizard. Because the kings quite often would use different tools to propagate their tyranny, to propagate their falsehood. In certain circumstances, they would use wizards and magicians to propagate this falsehood. And so he had this wizard that would assist him and help him. And this wizard was growing old, and he's unable to continue his duties. And so he had asked the king of that time, who was a non-believer, who would claim that he is the Lord of everything. He told him, listen, I'm getting old, give me or send me a young person so that I would teach him. And so the king brought him a youth, a young person to teach him. And along the days as they passed, that little young boy or young man, young boy at that time, he would pass from his home to the wizard's place. And as he would go along the path, he would come along a rahib, a priest, a person who would worship, not necessarily a priest, but a person who would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a rahib. And he was attracted by what he was doing. It got his attention, so he would sit to that individual, that rahib, the person of spirituality who would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he would listen to what he would say. And he felt a connection with him. So then it started becoming a habit every single day as he is going to the wizard, he would stay at the place of the rahib, and he would learn from him. However, he started to complain to the rahib. He said, listen, every time I pass by your place, I'll be scolded by the wizard and he would beat me. So he said, listen, if this happens, tell him I was delayed by my family. And if you go home and your family scolds you, tell them I was delayed by the wizard. And the days continued. And he would do this. He would sit with the rahib and go learn the magic. He would sit with the rahib and go learn the magic. Until one day, he came when he was entering the city. There was a huge beast that was blocking the road of the people. Terror was terrifying the people from crossing the road. They were terrified, didn't know what to do. And so the young man or the young child, he said, today I will know what is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it the matter of the rahib and his teachings, or the magician, the wizards and his teaching? And so he held Iraq and he said, Allahumma in kana amru rahib ahabba ilayka. Oh Allah, if the matter of the rahib was more beloved to you, then get rid of this dabba. And he threw the rock. And it hit it and it killed it. When this happened, he went to the rahib and he told him what happened. He said, قَدْ بَلَغَ شَأْنُكَ مَا أَرَى. He said, you have attained a status that is beyond me. And so be careful, you will be tested. If that happens, Do not direct him towards me. And so the young man, the child at that time, when he attained this status, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with being mustajab al-du'a, that his dua would be accepted. He would make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it would be accepted. There are individuals from every ummah that are like that. Even our ummah, from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the following generations, up until this day, there are individuals, by the way, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He hears their dua, it's accepted. And so this child, this young man, whose dua is accepted, what did he do with it? He was helping others. كان يبرئ الأكمه والأبرص ويشفي من الأمراض. He would cure the one who was born blind, and individuals who had leprosy and other diseases. He would cure them by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he would tell them, I am not the one who cures, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he started becoming famous. And his reputation started spreading within the town, to the point that there was a Jalisul Malik, a person who used to sit with the Malik, with the king of that time. Now a person who would sit with the king is a person who is brought close to the royalty. A person who is obviously lives in richness, and whatever he says can perhaps be heard. He is a person of influence, a person that the king would listen to, a person that the king likes. However, this individual, this man, Jalisul Malik, he went blind. And when he heard of this boy, he gathered so much wealth. And he went to this boy and he said, listen, everything this over here I have gathered for you if you cure me. And the boy said, and he corrected this misinformation, he said, listen, I do not cure, but it is Allah that cures. If you believe in Allah, I will make dua and He will cure you bi'idhnillah. And so he believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he made dua for him and he got cured. And the boy did not take anything from him. And so when the Jalis al-Malik, this person who sits to the Malik, went back to the Malik, to the king asked him, he said, who cured you from your blindness? Now I'm going to just point to something here that's interesting. This king claims to be a Lord, a God. But yet this God did not know who cured him. He did not know that he himself cured him. So this is a clear indication of this falsehood this person is claiming. And similar to any falsehood, there's a lot of things that point to it. And so the man's answer was, the one who cured me was my Lord and your Lord. And so the king got frustrated. He said, you have a Lord other than me? And so he tortured him. He didn't even ask him to debate logically. He just tortured him immediately, until he wanted to find the source of where he got this from. And so the man pointed and he directed him towards the youth, the young child that the king has picked to learn the magic. And so he called forth this child and he told him, he said, listen, I see the status you have reached by the magic that you have learned. False statement that he is inserting in this person's mind. He's placing pressure upon him. And he said, listen, I see that you have reached a high status because of the magic that you have learned. And so the boy corrected him. He did not fear the king. He said, no, it's not the magic, but it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who does these things. And so he got mad at him, and he tortured him until he pointed to the rahib, the worshipper. And so he brought this worshipper, and he told him, leave your religion. He refused. He threatened him. He refused. He eventually killed him. He brought a saw that started from the beginning of his head all the way to the bottom. Now it's sufficient, by the way, to start from here to there and he's dead. But no, it's interesting how much anger this king had. Because people are saying La ilaha illallah. It's just illogical sometimes. But yet they have this hatred sometimes. And they influence brutal punishments, brutal forms of torture. And he did that. And then he brought his Jalis, the one who used to sit with the king, and he told him, go back from this religion, leave it. He refused. He did the same thing he did with the one who's worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he called that child. Now, he did something else with the child. You have to bear in mind the reason he did this is because he had invested time in this child. That this child now has reached a reputation of being able to do many things that are incredible. And so he was not willing to kill him immediately. But rather he was trying to take him so that everything that he was doing would be attributed to the magic and the king. And so he told him, he said, listen, go back from your religion. When he refused, he told his soldiers to take him up to the highest mountain and tell him to go back from his religion, to refute his religion. If he does, bring him back. If he doesn't, then throw him off the mountain. Now, as they're climbing, the boy realized what's going to happen. And all he did was make a dua. Allahumma kfinihim bima shi'ta. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from them in whatever way you desire. And so as they're climbing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the mountain shake. And they all fell off of it and died except that boy. And that boy went back to the king. And he said, where are the ones that I sent with you? He said, Allah protected me from them. And so the king sent him again with a group of soldiers, but this time in a boat. He told them, go to the middle of the water, the body of water, whether it's an ocean or a lake, whatever the case is, and tell him, leave your religion or else we're going to throw you. And they did that. And the boy made a dua once again. He said, Allahumma kfinihim bima shi'ta. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me from them as you wish. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the boat shake in a specific way that they all fell except the boy. And he went back to the king. Now the king still wanted to kill him, and the boy realized this. He said, listen, you will never be able to kill me unless you do what I tell you to do. Now this was a plan. And the boy said, you have to gather all the people in a level ground so that they would see all of you. And then take an arrow from my, a spear or an arrow, from my place where you put the arrows, and put it in your bow. And say, Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam. By the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy. And release it, you'll kill me. And so he did that. And he gathered everybody. Now he doesn't know what he's doing, but it's just his anger. He's so blinded by his self-desire, his egocentric behavior. He's unable to see between true and falsehood. Or he sees it but then wants to deny it, doesn't like it. And so he did that. He put the boy, he actually crucified him so that he would not move. And then he took the arrow and he said, Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam, and he released it. And it hit, as the hadith says, Bayna Sidghayhi. Sidghayhi is this area between your ears and your eyes. And it hit the boy. And he held it because of the pain. And then he died. However, the people saw this. And they realized that this king is not a lord. That rather, he had to ask the Lord of the boy to be able to kill him. And so they said, Amanna bi Rabbil Ghulam. We believed in this Lord of the boy. Now this made the king even more furious. Because his companions around him, around the king, the ones who were supposed to advise him, rather than advising him to follow the straight path, they fueled the fire even more. They say, see, this is what you feared has happened. They all started believing. Now what did he do? He did something even worse. He ordered his soldiers to dig a pit or a trench and to put fire in it, to light it up with fire and gather all these people who had believed and throw them one after the other, but give them the choice of to leave their religion or not. And these are Ashab al-Ukhdud that's mentioned in the Quran. Surah al-Buruj. This is their story. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved it for us and has revealed it to the companions. And so none of them amazingly left their religion. They refused. They remained on the truth until every last one of them, including a woman who had a child in her hand, who when she was placed at the edge of the cliff of where the trench is, and she looked into the fire, she looked at her child. She had sympathy to her child. And she stepped back a second. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given her a sign to make her firm on the truth. And He made the child speak, and He said, Ya Ummah, O mother, you are on the correct path. And so she jumped. Now why did the Prophet ﷺ relate these stories to the companions? There's many lessons we can learn, but we're short in time. One is to tell to the companions that as believers, you will be tested. You will be tested. And not just them, but also the other Muslim generations following it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly established this in the Quran. He said, حَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Do the people think they'll be left to say, I believe in Allah, and they will not be tested. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And we have tested the ones before them. And so the Prophet's telling them, listen, what you're going through is a test. Similar to how previous nations have been tested. They will always be tested to prove what they're saying. Statements are easy to make. Claims are easy. But what matters, are these claims backed up by actions or not? Have these claims infiltrated their hearts and our hearts? That it's backed up by actions or not? And that is one of the messages that the Prophet ﷺ wanted to send them. That others have been tested like you. Your situation is not abnormal. And this message is to be sent until the end of time. That Muslims, what they're going through is not abnormal. We will be tested, different shapes and forms. Some individuals are tested by worldly matters. Some by desires. Some by fear. Whatever the case is, by oppression, you name it, they will be faced by it. And the reason is to test them. When it comes to that test, which path would you pick? The path of Allah, or would you submit to the other path, which is that you would leave your religion behind, or aspects of your religion? Now the other message the Prophet ﷺ wanted to send the companions, and he showed this in different other hadiths, in different narrations. He wanted to point to them, hey, listen, what you're going through is not as bad as the previous nations. And even through what they were going through, that did not prevent them from holding on to, from remaining steadfast, to adhering to the truth. It did not prevent them from remaining on their religion, complete in all its practices and beliefs. So you, my companions, are facing a less struggle. So be patient and hold on to your religion. Now this also is true for our situation. We have to acknowledge that we're faced by hardships. Sometimes we're pressured by whether societal pressure or psychological terrorism, when you're being terrorized psychologically, being thrown with falsehoods at you, so that you would either denounce your religion or leave specific practices of your religion or beliefs of your religion, to denounce them. If you do that, by the way, you're leaving the religion. But if you do such things, even though what we're facing is not even a fraction of what the companion faced, is not even a fraction of what the previous of the people of Hudud had faced. So we also, under these circumstances, whatever they are, we should hold fast to our faith and religion, to our practices, to be proud of it. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, with these stories, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these stories, he's showing us that there are situations when it comes to your basic beliefs and practices, you cannot denounce them or leave them. The people of the Hudud could have left their religion and saved their lives, but they didn't. This woman could have left and at least outwardly denounced her religion to save her child. This young boy, who had an amazing courage because of the knowledge he had, could have just said to the king, I back up. After all, by the way, this child, this boy, if you want to think about it realistically, he could have had everything he desired, whether it is worldly desires, because he was going to be the wizard of the king, unlimited power, obedience of people because they revered him, they feared him because he was the wizard, so control over others. These are worldly things, desires. He would be able to propagate misconceptions, all things that people might desire, but he left all of that, including fear of his life, and he had the courage to remain on his religion. And so our youth should have this courage and pride. Because the problem with sometimes of leaving things, leaving your religion, leaving your teachings, your ideologies, is what it does is sends a direct or indirect message to the oppressor that he is able to do whatever he wants because he oppresses you. It caters to their egocentric, their narcissist behavior. It gives some positive feedback that they're able to overcome you and break you, able to enslave you. But if you do the opposite, you show them that you are free, that nobody has control over you except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That he, the oppressor, really has no control. It puts him in his place. And this is why they become infuriated. And what's even amazing, they resort to these things is because they have no logical basis or arguments to their falsehoods. Because in the end, at least us, our source of knowledge is revelation. Their source is a creation. And no matter what it is, revelation from Allah, which is based on His knowledge and wisdom, can never compare to the knowledge of humans and their wisdoms. Because rather they are ignorant and unwise. Whatever they have is very limited and flawed. It's never complete. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, there are factors that can assist us and help us and to remain on the straight path, to hold on to the truth, to propagate it and spread it proudly, to not let others make us feel weak and have to denounce parts of our religions or teachings, not to have to conform with the society if it's wrong. One of these, the most important factors, is to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now I want you to think of the person who was sitting with the king, and the boy, and that woman, and the rahib. They had complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He would reward them. In fact, maybe even make them victorious. They did not have to see the victory right there on the spot, but they trusted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we should trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, وَكَانَ حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that it was incumbent upon us to assist and to help the believers. When you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever is going to afflict you, He knows it. And that He has written it. And whatever would miss you, would miss you. If you have a really good understanding of this, you would actually be a person who has no fear. Because you know whatever is going to afflict you will hit you anyway. No way of running around. And whatever is going to miss you will miss you. So it gives you unbelievable courage. Unbelievable bravery in the face of tyranny. It makes you stand steadfast on what is correct and right. To want to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you also trust Him. Now the second factor that would help us and would enable us to do this is that we learn our religion. Now many of the things that make us perhaps quiver in our faith or let go of certain aspects of our teachings or denounce them is either usually desires or misconceptions. And both of them are cured by knowledge. One of the most important knowledge is the Quran itself. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ لِشَاءٌ مِنَ الصُّدُورِ وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ شِفَاءٌ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We from the Quran, we revealed in the Quran, from it, cure to the people. Cure from what? Misconceptions and desires. And it's a mercy to the believers. And it's a mercy to the believers. Many of the misconceptions we face are cured in the Quran. Many of the desires we face have been revealed in the Quran and it tells us plain. Now one of the beautiful things about the Quran and learning knowledge, it really puts in perspective the reality of the transit, like how transient this world is. The purpose of our creation and what we're here for. Now all these people who believed in the story the Prophet ﷺ has told the companions, they understood this. That boy, he realized how transient this world is. And that if he leaves his religion, he has lost the hereafter. The same with that woman. The same with the Jalis of the Malik. The one who sit with the king. And the same as the worshipper. They realize the true and the reality of this world, no matter what happens to it, it is momentarily. It will fade away and go. But what remains is the hereafter. So do not do things in this world that would compromise your hereafter. And that can be established by knowledge. And the third thing we can do, or that would help us do this, is to realize the weakness of falsehood. It's weak. Its arguments are weak. It's based on nothing. It has no base. And everything that is a falsehood is propagated by the shaitan. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. That the treachery or the planning or the falsehood or the scheming of the shaitan is weak. Now all these things that we see around us sometimes that the Muslims are being attacked with, or claims against the Muslims and their teachings and their faith, they're first and foremost are being propagated by the shaitan into the minds of these individuals. But they are weak. They have no basis. And so we should learn to be able to counteract them and realize really how weak they are, that they will pass. And whatever is weak will go away. What remains is the truth. This is the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an example of this in the Quran. When He gave the example of the foam in the ocean, when you have a flood happening, there's a lot of dirt mixed with water. But when things settle, it is the dirt that goes on the surface and goes away. And what remains is the pure water. The same thing with the gold. When you place it in the fire, gold in the dirt is mixed with impurities. But expose it to the heat. What goes away? The impurities. And what remains is what is solid and true, which is the gold. The last thing we can do, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, is make dua. Make dua to make us steadfast and hold on to and abide and remain firm on the straight path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the companions did this. The Prophet ﷺ used to do this. He would say, Allahumma yuqallib al-qulub thabbit qalbi ala dinik. O turner of hearts, affirm my heart upon your religion. The boy, the child in the story we had mentioned, what did he do? He made dua. He trusted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, protect me from them. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us from whatever befalls us, whether it's from the akhdar or from the scheming and the planning of the individuals. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they tell us the stories of the previous nations, it is because this history will repeat itself. And we will always see people in more hardship than ourselves, but yet they remain steadfast. I want you to move your minds to Burma. What's going on there? Complete persecution of Muslims. Palestine, jazakallah khair. I was coming to that, so. But other than that also, in China, the Rohingya, in different parts of the world, complete persecution just because that they are Muslims. But yet these individuals never leave their faith. And it never made them think once to leave aspects of their religion, whether it's teachings or their ideologies, or whatever the cases or practices. And this is why until now they are still continuing their struggle. But this, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward them for this. Because it really shows the ugliness of the face of the other side, the inhumanity in the other side, the illogical, irrational behavior of the other side. Now, if they would have succumbed, would we have known their situation? Would others have realized the illogic and the ugliness of the other side? No, they wouldn't. And so there's always lessons to be learned. The least of it is that we should feel for our brothers and sisters and make dua for them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would support them. But also to think that we are faced by far less hardship than they are. And so we have more right to be steadfast on this path, to hold on to the truth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to propagate it, to fight for it. Your brothers and sisters in Islam, we live in a society where people with complete immoral ideas are fighting for their ideas. It is completely immoral, but yet they fight it until it becomes mainstream and accepted. Shouldn't we fight for what is right? The least of it is adhere to our religion and not leave it. Whether it's in interactions, which is clothing, or behavior, or manners. Wallahi, our religion is beautiful. If we stand fast to it or we hold to it, we can teach the entire world what beauty is, what good manners are, what truly is good for them from what is bad. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات اللهم ارحمنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اللهم يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى اللهم وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين، وقوموا الى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.